Oh my god!
Oh my god.
I think we're live. Oh, yeah, I think we're live. Let me make sure here. Check the YouTube end things. Yeah, we're live. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, it's happening. That being said, we saw episode 6. I think everybody has seen episode 6. And I think it's fair to say it was an episode.
It was certainly an episode of all time.
Yeah, it was. Probably wasn't the worst episode, but it certainly also wasn't the best. And I wasn't a huge fan of everything that was in there. But we'll get to that. What did you think overall?
I couldn't stay focused really on it. It was just all over the place again. I enjoyed it. I mean, the only one I didn't really like this season so far, I think, was episode 3. I didn't like that one. But this one, I enjoyed it.
I think it was episode 2 that we looked at and we were like, this kind of feels like it's just filler.
Yeah, that's like everyone was skipping around. This one was similar, but it had some context to it, some good weight.
Yeah, there was some stuff, like there was a lot of the pre-war Cooper Barb stuff that was happening. I don't want to call that filler. I definitely felt like the vault scene dragged, and I feel like the vault plot line is really dragging.
Yeah,
it's really, really, really dragging. I'm not a fan. Especially because, like, they keep using these scenes in all these trailers that are supposed to make these moments look like they're, like, hyped up. Like, in the trailers, we saw a few scenes from this episode in the trailers, and the way they were edited and the music that was being used, they made it look like, oh god, what's his name? Not Ronnie, not Chad. Reg.
got me glasses.
Reg.
Oh yeah.
Reg was looked like in the trailer he was losing his fucking mind. Like they were starting to go crazy. And then they showed like Vault security marching in there. And then when in the episode when they actually show up, it's just more of the same. Like, now you shouldn't do that. And Reg is like, well, what if we want to? It just, the whole thing about Vault Tech being evil and like very authoritarian, it's kind of lost in that. I don't know. I guess if they resolve that this season, which personally, if they don't resolve these 2 Vault storylines this season, I'm gonna be pissed. These are, you have to at least resolve these. You can't keep dragging it on, man.
Like, we haven't seen in like the teasers and stuff. We haven't seen much of Vault 33 after this point. Yeah. But we've seen Vault 32, and we have an idea that what's it called? Steph's gonna be found out for killing that dude. But
yeah,
I don't have high hopes for 33 getting the finished storyline. 32, yeah. 33, no.
Yeah, I could see everybody in 32 turning on Steph. I know, like, we see her in the trailer running, but yeah, I don't know if that's what she's actually going to be running from, because they do a lot of fake outs with these trailers. I don't know. We also got a little bit of Maximus and Thaddeus.
Yeah, I don't think it was needed, that scene, really. Like a little walking scene, sitting down. I feel like that was just to get a reference to the Boneyard, and that was it. Oh look, I'm from the Boneyard.
Well, I do like the way it did insert something that I liked, which was the way that Thaddeus talks about being good versus how Maximus views good. And Thaddeus views being good as a matter of having the resources to be good, whereas Maximus makes it pretty clear that, like, the ability to do good is just something you do.
Yeah.
You don't just, like, the way Thaddeus views it, it's like a treadmill. You know, it's like you always say, well, if I get X resource, then I can do Y good. But then you're always on this treadmill of needing the next thing to do the good thing, and you never do the good thing.
Yeah. I liked what he said about the vault. How, like, if he was from a vault, he'd be a good person because there's food, there's everything. It does show how fortunate Lucy was compared to. I mean, I like that because it shows a good comparison to what's really happened in the wasteland compared to.
There is that, but I also think that like there's a kind of false dichotomy that he creates between the wasteland and the vaults, because the people in the vaults are not all good people. Like a lot of them are still evil and vile and disgusting and self-motivated. Beyond just the people from 31, you know, like the pre-war people, there's plenty of them who are just bad. And you know, that includes Hank. You know, Hank and a lot of the, like Betty, I guess even the people from before the war too. Like they're number one, they're from before the war. They had plenty of resources. I know like there was the resource war, but compared to like the wasteland, there are good people in the wasteland. They have so much less than what people in the pre-war had, and yet there are still so many evil people from the pre-war, especially that have survived. So I like the sort of subtle subtext to what Thaddeus had to say about like the nature of being good. And it's like being good has nothing to do with what resources you have to be good with. It's how you use the resources that you already have and whether or not you do good with those. And I think Maximus kind of, without saying it, recognizes it, whether it's he consciously recognizes that or he is just like an innately good person. So I enjoyed that. I thought that was a good comparison between the two of them. I kind of wish there was like less of the vault scenes and more of them.
Yeah. Although they seem to be like a second, like they're not really main characters anymore. They're just sort of there.
Yeah, they got like 2 episodes that kind of focused on them, and that was it so far. So I'm not too sure about what we'll see from them going forward, but well, now that they're with Cooper, and we know next episode we're going to see them in Freeside and the Strip with that power armor, wherever they got that from. So
I'm excited to see that because just the Ghoul's reaction from the end of the episode just told me enough.
Yeah, he's like, oh, fuck. We're gonna take a quick break. He was like, these 2 fucking numbskulls. God damn it. Shit. Yeah, that was funny. I'm also happy. I will say this. I remember I was worried that episode 6 would just be Cooper on the lamppost, just kind of sitting there and being like, for like 40 minutes, and it wasn't that, thankfully.
Yeah, I was happy about that.
I did take notes, so let me grab my notebook because there is some stuff I want to talk about, and it's not really about the episode itself, but surrounding the episode, some information there. So let's kind of unpack it. So number 1, I think we can both agree there is no redeeming Barb's character.
Yeah, I don't. Even if there was, I don't want it to be redeemed.
No, yeah, like Barb she might be a cog in a machine, but she's a complicit cog. She is acting willfully in trying to make sure that these things come to pass. And like Thaddeus, you know, which is, I guess, another good comparison where, you know, they kind of talked about the nature of good and evil in this episode. Sort of the same thing with what Hank says about the All Quiet on the Western Front. Another comparison of like the kind of nature of good and evil. Barb is definitely just a flat out, I don't know, maybe not flat out, but she's a little more complex than that. But she is essentially just an evil character. She's an evil actor. She is helping to do evil things. And Cooper just fucking calls her out on it. Like, so what if okay, maybe the Enclave are extremely evil people, but are they more evil than you? Like, you are aiding and abetting to like massacre, like a nuclear holocaust of millions, if not hundreds of millions, if not billions of like Cooper says, children, other mothers, other fathers, and you're just going to fucking kill all of them because somebody threatened you. And then Barb, of course, makes the argument that it'll happen whether she helps or not. So she might as well help because she gets an upper hand in that. And I really hope that the writers do not pussy out on saying something about being complicit in doing evil, that you don't get to just excuse terrible things because somebody else made you do it. To me, there's no way for them to redeem her, and if they did, I think the show would be worse.
Yeah.
I've also All Quiet on the Western Front is also mentioned. This is, of course, when Hank is trying to pretend that everything is normal with Lucy and just tries to like pick up where they left off. And he brings up All Quiet on the Western Front as a book that they were reading, and he references it, and he tries to make a comparison between it and the Wasteland. I have not had the opportunity to read it. I've not had the I wanted to look into it between when the episode came out and now, but I haven't had the chance. So I think maybe next episode we can talk a little more in depth about it. Have you had the chance to read it?
I've seen the newer movie about it, but I haven't read it.
Okay. I do know that the basic story is like it's about the Western Front of World War I. And it's about I want to say it's from a German point of view.
Yes.
And basically it's like the dehumanization of all of the people who were fighting ultimately for nothing, just simply for the powers that be, and not really making that like that war was truly pointless. And Hank tries to make the comparison between the two, and sort of try and obviously justify what he's doing as basically a lead-in to how he is essentially stripping people of their free will. And arguably, I would say he's killing them. We know that, like, when he was talking to the snake oil salesman about it, he said, you won't remember a thing. Like, who you are, your identity will essentially be deleted, and all that will be left is your motor functions and your, like, ability to speak language. And that's it. And that's, like, straight up total, like, that's just killing somebody at that point. Like, if destroying their personality, everything that they've ever known, everything they've ever remembered, everything that they have ever been, if destroying that isn't killing somebody, then I'm not sure, like, if killing somebody is only the act of destroying their physical body, I don't know. To me, like, Hank's just killing people. The same thing with, like, for instance, Biff. When the Legionary and Biff are fighting Uncle Rico in the right towards the end of the episode, and presses the button, which pissed me off too, that like Lucy would do that. I'm not quite sure if she understood exactly the sort of ramifications. I don't think she did understand the ramifications of what she did, but like Biff, like that guy, he's just dead now. Like who he was is dead, doesn't exist. And he's just like gone. And same thing with that Legionnaire. Like for all intents and purposes, the people who they were completely dead. And so I'm trying to keep my train of thought here composed with the way that kind of plays into his comparison. It sort of feels like the same thing. Like there's I have to read the book because I guarantee I just have the feeling. I know that there is something in his comparison of World War I to what he's doing where there's a sort of irony in it where it's like what he's specifically looking for in the book is not actually justifying what he's doing at all. And of course, like he talks about, for instance, Hank talks about how people were killing each other over petty things like bottle caps, but he didn't kill petty people for fighting over petty things. He nuked Shaney Sands because it went against Vault-Tec's stated mission to replace everything on the surface. So, yeah, like Hank is just also a genuinely grotesque, evil human being. If you can even call him human, he's disgusting. And I really, really, really hope that they don't like debase Lucy's character to the point of like looking at what he's doing and thinking, yes, this is good. What you're doing is morally okay, I guess. Because I think I would just hate Lucy. I've already started to kind of fall out of love with her character this episode, just because it's like she just. I don't know. What did you think about like the way that she handled stuff this episode? Because to me, I felt like she felt a little inept.
It just felt like she just didn't think about what she was doing. She just sort of. I agree with the fact you said like you sort of fell out of love with her character. She's becoming one of my least favorite characters, not just because of that. I prefer other character story arcs over hers by a mile, but with her story, it's just like she does something stupid. She ends up in a bad situation. She gets saved. We've had that about 5 times. And in this one, I don't think she would. I don't know, because pressing the button, I think, is morally the right thing to do for like her character, because otherwise it's going to end up killing each other.
And for what she also knows. She doesn't know that pressing the button completely eradicates, their entire lives of being. She knows is that all the people, Hank tells her to press the button to stop them from fighting, and when she does, they're pacified. And that's it. She doesn't know that it's like a personality obliterator button.
And it's just she's doing stupid things every episode that a Vault Dweller. You have like the best education in the wasteland. You have everything. You have common sense, right? And you're still doing stupid things every episode. It's and then I don't know. It's just there's a lot.
There's specifically again for me too, like with. So, number one, I don't know why she thought that, like, with everything that she's learned in the wasteland, I like, okay, I get that when she left the vault, she doesn't understand that the vaults are essentially giant harbingers of evil. But she also went to Vault 4, saw the horrendous things there, and understood that pretty much every single vault, with some few exceptions, was an experiment meant to do terrible things. she this entire time thought she was going to bring Hank back to Vault 33 to stand trial. And I'm like, I don't know why she thought that would work. Like after her experiences with Vault 4, like she should have understood at that point that going to the vaults is a fickle thing to do. I guess part of that also rests because Cooper knows that like Vault Tech is genuinely evil, and for some reason Cooper never shared this information with her either. So Cooper is also kind of a dumbass. It's starting to get to the point where like characters are kind of starting to fall apart as being believable as characters because none of them are doing or saying like Cooper and Lucy seem to have had literally zero conversations in the 2 months that they've been traveling between seasons 1 and 2. Because realistically, I think there's a scene. So in season 1, they say they have 2 months on the water trip. Cut to season 2, and they're finally starting to run out of water. So we know it's been like 2 months, give or take, like maybe a week. And in that time, they never had any conversation about Vault Tech or anything like that. So the fact that Lucy just thinks she's going to bring her fucking dad back to Vault 33 and then everything will be hunky-dory after that makes me really not like her character at all. It just makes her seem naive and stupid. Where it's like, same thing I said about, it was episode 2, I think, where I said Lucy still seems naive and stupid, even though it felt like that, like innocent naivete that she had in season 1 should have been dead at the season 1 finale when she finds out who her father really was and like the nature of the wasteland is like that should have been a character defining moment, and it wasn't. Because she just kept on believing the same dumb, naive things, even though and the only thing that changed for her was that actually she had to go grab and bag her father. And now it's like, well, will she even do that? Because she sees that, like, if you press a big red button, people stop hurting each other. Is she going to just decide, oh, yeah, killing people so that they don't, like, essentially obliterating a person's identity is okay, so long as they're not hurting anybody else. But at that point, like I said earlier with the killing stuff, to me, if you obliterate it, like in the same way that dementia works, right? Like it strips somebody of all their memories, their being, it makes them, I mean, dementia is a little bit of a different thing, but like, Alzheimer's, all of that, where a person is slowly stripped of who they are over many years. It's a horrible, tragic thing to happen. It's one of, like, to me, that's one of the worst fates a person can suffer, is to like lose who they are. And that's like what Hank's just doing to everybody, just instantaneously. And so for Lucy to just kind of be like, yeah, that's okay, I'm going to do that to people because it makes them not violent. It's like, well, you had a problem shooting people and killing them that way. Why is this any different? Because you don't have to watch them die because their body still walks around. And if that's the case, then I feel like Lucy never had the moral high ground at all. She was just cowardly. That's kind of what Hank is too, a bit of a coward.
Mm.
That if her only qualm about killing people all this time has just been that she doesn't want to actually look at the consequences of it, then she doesn't have any actual moral standing. She's just a coward.
Yeah, she's definitely the weakest. Don't worry about it. She's definitely the weakest character of this season, I'd say. Like the Ghoul, I think, is the best. Like he's having a lot of development. We've seen a lot of what made him this the man we see now, or creature, I guess, abomination. And I like the scene where he's on the pole and he's saying his name. It's calling back to like I like in this episode. I think Cooper Howard and the Ghoul had the best development out of any other character because I mean, it's the only character that really had development, but he's starting to look back on himself. He's starting to, like I said, when episode 2 came out, the switching roles. The Ghoul's becoming Cooper, and Lucy's becoming like what the Ghoul was essentially, like a hardened wastelander who just she's losing her morals. Well, I feel like he's gaining some.
Yeah, it's definitely a Cooper-focused season for sure, and I feel like he's gotten way more development than she has. I also feel like it's kind of they're just doing whatever is convenient for the plot. Like as this season has been going on, they're doing things that don't make sense unless you were to say that, well, there's actually some writers who wanted things to work out this way, and so they're making these characters act out of character to, whatever is convenient for the plot, make them act a certain way so that we can make the story go in a certain direction. I feel like there's more of this. There's been a lot of that this season where, yeah, characters just seem like they're doing dumb things for the sake of making sure that the story goes on. And when I say they're doing dumb things, it's not because they're dumb characters. It's because the story requires them to do a dumb thing to make sure that like the story goes on in the way that the writers wanted it to, which is there's a phrase for, I think it's the hand of the writer is very clear to see in some of these scenes where it's like, come on, how fucking obvious. Like, for instance, when Lucy's grabbed by the Legionary, she's given the pencil. She doesn't stab the guy in the neck. She stabs him in the abdomen. And then he's like, with a pencil, and then he just goes to fucking murder Biff again. Like, why did you do that? And of course, the answer is, well, because, she doesn't want to kill people. But, like, number one, she's already killed somebody, just straight up. Number two, all the people that she's shot in the leg and shit in the ass, like, you're in the fucking wasteland, bitch. Do you not understand that, like, if you shoot someone in the fucking knee and then walk away, you think they're going to be fucking, like, no, they're going to need medical attention. How many fucking doctors have you seen? Any? Okay, so they're dead. Like, her fucking, like, it's really, really frustrating that the show also doesn't, like, that Cooper, for instance, won't point that out to her and be like, look, like, you might think you're trying to circumvent all of that, but you're still doing it. And just call her, like, if anybody is going to call Lucy a coward, it would have been Cooper, and it never happens. And I'm like, that's kind of I think, like, to a degree, like, Lucy is cowardly. Like, killing, to her, it seems like she thinks that killing people is like, like I said, she views it as morally wrong, but then she still engages with stuff that would kill somebody, but she doesn't call it killing them. It's more like, well, the wound that I gave them will kill them, but I didn't kill them. And it's just like that's just pussy coward shit. You killed them, and you did it because they were going to kill you otherwise. Which I don't think that that's really a moral failing. I don't know. Lucy's character has felt like it's gotten worse and worse. I just pray to God that by the end of this season, she will have gotten over being a fucking naive moron and finally do something that, like, makes sense for a person with a brain to do. There's still some stuff that I liked.
Yeah, I liked the little. I mean, obviously the Super Mutant cameo, that was all right.
I like that they had Marcus. I thought having Marcus was really cool. I guess we're assuming that it's Marcus. Well, you know what? Let me a lot of characters are named through the on-screen credits that Amazon provides. So I wonder if I'm going to pull it up real fast here. Shit, I need to sign in. I had to clear my cache. There we go. Okay. Let me open it up. Continue watching. He's not. That's odd. It doesn't seem like he's credited.
The wiki just says he's credited as the hooded super mutant, and that's it.
Yeah, there's no on-screen credits for him at all.
That's a shame.
So if this is supposed to be Marcus, they're being very secretive with it.
Well, I feel like it has to be. I don't like because he mentions the place where they're all hiding. I'm assuming that's Jacobstown still, hopefully. But that people have like attacked them. So
I have a feeling that Jacobstown has been destroyed. Not just because of the destruction porn that Amazon and Bethesda are obsessed with, but in New Vegas and even Fallout 2, Marcus isn't like a bloodthirsty animal. You know, he doesn't want to have war. He wants to try, like, he's a bit of a pacifist. So for him to be like, we have to go and kill these guys, there's like a war coming, is a bit out of character for him. And he also says, what did he say? He says specifically that the Enclave is back. Like, he names them. He says they're back and they have to go to war with the Enclave. So, but Marcus canonically was on Control Station Enclave when it was destroyed with the Chosen One. So he should. So there's no reason for him to know that how would he know that the Enclave has returned? The only way for him to know would be if they had showed themselves in some way. Okay. Jacobstown is right next to the Remnant bunker, which is, of course, the like an Enclave bunker. I have my suspicion that when the Enclave made their return, they went to the Remnant bunker outside of Jacobstown and then killed all the super mutants at Jacobstown. He also doesn't seem like he had a bone to pick with the Enclave before that. Like, here, he's like throwing rocks and talking about how they have to like kill them and defend themselves and go to war. But in Fallout New Vegas, the last time we see him in Jacobstown, I think his name is Dr. Henry, right? Dr. Henry was a former Enclave scientist. I don't know if Marcus quite knew that or not, but Marcus never really acted like, it was more like destroying Control Station Enclave was like a fond memory of his that he had with friends, not like some virtuous, righteous thing that he did with fury in his heart, you know? And so for this shift to happen, it's like something genuinely terrible would have to happen. And number one, like, Jacobstown keeps to itself, but the NCR knew, like, the location of Jacobstown wasn't like some secretive information. Like, the NCR sent mercenaries there. So, or like somebody hired mercenaries from the NCR to go to Jacobstown and harass them. My guess is that where they're hiding is secret because the survivors of an attack had to go somewhere to hide. I'm assuming that's the church that Marcus is like took Cooper to, that maybe there are other super mutants there that we haven't gotten to see yet. And they are on the run from the Enclave, which would make sense. But I want to see those things realized, because those are really that's the only justification for this change in character that I can think of, is that, like, Jacobstown had to have been destroyed for him to be this angry, and it would have had to have been destroyed by the Enclave for him to have known that the Enclave had returned, because to him, they're all gone. They're dead. They've been destroyed. He helped destroy them. Like he helped kill Frank Horrigan and destroy Control Station Enclave. There's no if and or buts about it. So, and I guess that gets into my larger kind of feelings about how they've handled the return of the Enclave, which is, they keep mentioning them in the pre-war and then kind of teasing them as this big shadow organization now. But it's like all of these characters, like the whole wasteland already knows who the fuck the Enclave is and knows that they got their ass handed to them multiple times. Like, they're not that scary.
Speaking of the Enclave, how do you feel about the little cameo we got in the elevator?
I was not a fan of it being Wilzig, just because it's just another character from the pre-war who's just like, look, it's a pre-war character who's now a post-war character too, present day character. Isn't that crazy? What, is fucking everybody a popsicle? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's getting a bit ridiculous. Like, I've seen on Twitter and even in the group chats, it's not a very popular thing because it's they're overusing it now. They've done it with multiple things this season. They just keep doing it, and it's just like in Fallout 4, it was quite a unique idea, like a vault that had cryopods, and then you walk around, and the only people from before the war is the people who were frozen or ghouls. That was basically it.
Ghouls, mutants, and if somebody else might have been frozen. There is that, like, we live forever thing, but that's like some weird, like, esoteric bullshit that they stuck in there. So, with this, it's like, I feel like for a character to be from before the war, it had to be a special thing. Like Harold being from before the war was special. I guess all the ghouls in Fallout being from before the war made them special. Yeah. Mutants that lived before the war were special. That's the case with a lot of characters. Like Mr. House was special because he wasn't a ghoul, he wasn't a mutant, but he had still managed to preserve himself, and they made it out to be this, like, what Mr. House had achieved was a genuinely incredible feat of technology to have been able to live for as long as he did, which it's not like he was frozen. Like, he's been alive the whole time. He's managed to keep his body from deteriorating to the point of, like, death. I mean, he's not exactly in great shape when we see him. He's kind of looks like a dried out dead rat, but it was special. And the more and more that they keep taking these pre-war characters and sticking them, or like taking characters that we see in the present day in Fallout and then just making them pre-war characters, it's just like it becomes less and less special to the point where it kind of feels like also they're just skipping the 200 years of history that Fallout has made for itself to go straight from before the war, then skip fucking everything else that happened, and then go straight to the present day of what is it, like 2295 or whatever that these things are taking place in.
Yeah.
So when I see that, to me, or 2296, I guess, either or, whatever it is, it's like it just feels, it almost feels like it's like season 2 is trying to be a soft reboot of the franchise. Like, ignore the fact that the Enclave was destroyed in Fallout 2. Ignore the fact that, Fallout Family said during when he came on for episode 4, if this feels like what New Vegas would look like if the Courier had never intervened in any way, like this would be the state of affairs. And I think he was 100% spot on. They're just kind of ignoring that anything happened previously, and it does feel like a soft reboot. Where like 10 years has passed since they made a Fallout game, 15 years has passed since one took place in this area, and they're just like, well, we have all this renewed interest, let's just do a soft reboot, and we'll make the show now the focal point of it, which if that's what they're doing, I think that's honestly really sad. I'm not sure that that's something that I would be willing to invest my time in, because like Bethesda has not done a great job with Fallout on their own, and a lot of the best parts of what they make is connected to Fallout 1 and 2. And so for them to be like, well, we're just going to do a soft reboot, I don't like. Fallout 3 was already kind of a soft reboot. Fallout 4 was a kind of sort of sequel. I don't want to call that a soft reboot because it definitely still pulled from the source material that Fallout 3 had to work with, and it made references to Fallout 1 and 2, but this is just like a straight up ignoring Fallout 1 and 2 to just be like, yeah, the Enclave are back, and we don't care that they've been annihilated over and over and over again. Like, if they were at their peak of their power and influence in Fallout 2, when they still had Control Station Enclave and like Frank Horrigan, and they were, fussing around with Mariposa Military Base and doing all this horrible experiments, and they were able to break into vaults and like annihilate and steal their entire populations. Why? What is the point of, like, if they came back, are they supposed to be stronger than they were back then, 15 years ago? Where did they find this extra strength from? There needs to be explanations. Otherwise, it does just feel shoehorned in, and like none of it is justified. They're just basically retconning shit for the sake of like extracting as much money as they can out of the franchise, because they're, I'm going to say, creatively bankrupt. They can't think of anything new on their own that's interesting other than to just keep using the same names and iconography from previous games, while also not having the ability to continue those storylines in genuinely interesting ways. So they just have to like rehash them. Yeah. That's my Enclave rant. I won't rant about the Enclave anymore.
I don't like the Enclave. Like that's another thing that's been overused. Like they're going to be the season 3 bad guy. I don't want it to be. I don't want it. Like, give me something new.
Yeah.
I don't want recycled slop just for them to lose again. Like, imagine being a fan of the Enclave somehow, and you just see him get beat, and then now beat again. It's unfair. It's really unfair.
And especially because they did things in Fallout 3 with the Enclave that made them a more interesting faction. Like, I like the Enclave in Fallout 3, not as like, I like them as villains. They're good villains because they have complexity. Like, Eden is a computer president, psychopath who's just like, yeah, we're going to kill everybody. Whereas Autumn is like, he's still not a good guy. He's still a bad guy, but he's like, he's not a genocidal maniac. He's not trying to just like massacre the entire wasteland and like genocide its entire population. He wants to, and keep in mind, everybody in Fallout 3 who is under the age of like 36 will have been born in the wasteland. They themselves would be killed by President Eden's new FEV strain that he's releasing, or that he wants to be released through the water purifier. So there's a layer of complexity that's introduced into the Enclave there that wasn't there previously. Like, before in Fallout 2, they were just cartoonishly evil villains, and like they were just a joke with like President Dick Richardson and shit like that. Like, they were just comically evil. And so when they gave them that extra depth in Fallout 3, I thought that was a really cool thing. And then like in Fallout New Vegas, in Lonesome Road, and through the Remnants, we get more glimpse into kind of what the Enclave and its different parts have been up to. And we get some updates on that through characters like Eddie and like Arcade Gannon. And so it would be an absolute crime for them to erase all of that nuance and complexity and storied history that they've created for that faction just to have them come back and then waste them again. just have them be destroyed, like you said. I would I do like the Enclave. I think the way they look is really cool. I think they're cool villains. But it doesn't feel like they're doing the Enclave justice because they're just pretending that Fallout 3 in New Vegas didn't happen. They're just, or even for, like I said, Fallout 2 didn't happen. They're just going straight for, the way, like a more mysterious buildup for, oh, we're these Enclave guys. We already know, bitch. We already know. We know who the Enclave is. We don't need you to keep jingling the keys in our face. I guess if you've never seen Fallout before or played the games, like, okay, maybe then you wouldn't know who the Enclave are. But at that point, if you're going to be like, well, show viewers maybe don't know who the Enclave is, that doesn't mean that like it's acceptable for you to just like whitewash the entire franchise. Just like it feels like laziness. I don't know. I'm not a fan. I'm a fan of, like, I don't mind having the Enclave return as villains if they're going to do them more interesting, but it doesn't seem like they are. And that's specifically what my problem is. The way that they're doing them is just uninteresting, boring. We've already seen it. What are they going to do differently?
Exactly. It's just going to be a rinse and repeat sort of subject.
Yeah. And I just specifically connect the two. What I'm saying is to try and, like, TLDR of my rant. The way that they're connecting the Enclave as they exist right now directly to who they were pre-war strips them of all of the identity that they've had from Fallout 2 to Fallout 4, and everything that we have seen about them between about them in Fallout 2, in Fallout 3, in Fallout New Vegas, and the references that were made to them in Fallout 4, and even for that matter, 76. When you cut all of that out, you make them a really boring. It makes them really boring, and it just feels like a waste. Like there's so much potential there that you've just wasted.
Yeah,
and really for no reason. And that's why I say again, this like season 2 is starting to feel more and more like a soft reboot than a continuation of a larger story. I think that's my issue with it, is because I like it. And like I've always said, I think the Fallout show is great, like as its own thing, but in context of a larger universe, it kind of doesn't really mesh very well, and it's starting to feel like a soft reboot. The other games, quote unquote, happened, but they don't matter anymore, if that makes sense. Like we're just like they're just ignoring them completely. And I'll always say, like, if you were going to do that, just make something new. Like, quit beating a dead horse, man. Like, if you can't get anything new out of this, make something new. Don't keep trying to, reinvent the same thing. If you can't do something new with it, it's time to just go do something new. But anyways, let's try and be a little more positive, because that was a really negative rant that we went on. What did you like most about this episode? I guess let's start there. What did you like the most?
I liked just anything with Cooper in. Like that was like, because Walton Goggins has been absolutely killing it this season. He's been like, and I guess also the Vault 32 stuff's been interesting to me. Like,
yeah, Vault 32 is way more interesting to me than Vault 33.
I couldn't care about like Betty being like a tyrant or whatever. Vault 32, on the other hand, that's interesting.
What's interesting too is that Betty's not really even a tyrant. Like, she's trying to be as nice as she can. Like, she seems less evil than everybody else. even though she knows this is an experiment. I guess I'm also curious about what this FEV experiment that they were going to do with them is, because if it's been 200 years and they haven't conducted the experiment yet, like what exactly is the experiment?
I hope to see something about that. I know we get to see Norm next episode again, which I'm excited for, because I'm
also excited.
I like that, and we know he's going to survive. The girl's in the glass stat man. Happy days for all of us, but I think his curiosity is going to get the better of him. He's going to look into it. He's going to. Well, we know most of them are going to die from the Brad Roach little farm they have. So I think it's just going to be maybe like 3 or 4 of them. 2 evil-ish people, Norman and that girl again. I think it was her name Claudia. I believe.
Claudia.
Yeah.
I like Claudia.
Yeah,
I'm excited to see her.
I hope she doesn't die, because I feel like
that'd be a weird thing to do, like to have Norm make this attachment with him, because Norm's mostly been a loner. Like he had Chet. Chet was one of his friends, but then him and Chet got separated, and he ultimately he's kind of been portrayed as a loner character, sort of like an outcast. So for him to have this like companion is cool. And if they were to just like steal that from him right off the bat, I would just be like, why?
it'd be a waste of like a plot. Like,
and also Claudia's an interesting character. She's like Claudia is an actual interesting. She's not just a psychopath evil person like the rest of it. She's a human being. She has pretty much the exact same sort of perception of the world that like Nate and Nora would have, the whoever you choose as like the sole survivor for Fallout 4. Like she pretty much has the exact same perspective as that, where she, she's just a regular, not horrible, evil person stuck into a cryo chamber, comes out 200 some years later, and the whole fucking world is dog shit, except, she doesn't have the contrivances of the fact that you still have to make a Fallout game around it, and they end up doing things that don't make any sense. So I really want to see how she adapts to the wasteland, if she is able to. I want to see that.
Yeah, definitely, and I hope she sticks around for maybe another season. I feel like she could be a nice character. I'm assuming at some point they're all going to meet up again. Norm, Lucy.
Yeah.
The Ghoul has apparently been confirmed for another season, which I hate when they do that, because I wanted to figure that out for myself, but it's fine, I guess. Thank you, Amazon, for letting us know.
When you say confirm the Ghoul for another season, you mean like they've said Cooper, like his character, will be in another season?
Yeah, they've said that he's got one. Well, he's in at least one more season, so he could die next season. He could be in his own spin-off later on. I don't know. But
okay.
I think I'd like a Ghoul spin-off, like a prequel. I feel like there's a lot of time to cover if they don't do it in the show, which I don't think they will, because you can't. I mean, he was in that little grave for 30-something years.
Yeah, a long time. It's very nebulous. I forget how long did they say? Did they say how long he was in the grave for?
Yeah, well, the sheriff guy from the first season, he was I think like in his early 30s, and he's in his like 60s now. So he was about 30-something years, give or take.
Okay.
And he was in and out of that grave scenario for like a few times. So out of the 200 years, he was probably not there for about 80 of them, which is fair enough. But I hope we at least see.
It's still 120 years of history to cover with the character.
I just want to see this season before it ends how Janie got. If Janie's in the vault where Hank is, how did she get there, and how did Cooper become a ghoul? That's what I want to know. That
we know Cooper and Janie obviously got separated at some point because he's not with her and he's looking for her. So she's obviously they got separated somehow, and Cooper is under the impression that Barb and Janie escaped together somewhere, and that there were pods made. We know that there were pods made for them. Are they actually in those pods? Did they even make it to those pods? I guess is now the question to be asked.
I'm 50-50 on it because why would they show the pods but not them inside it? I feel like that's like, yeah, cool, there's a pod there, but are they in it? I feel like they are, but if there's no body, then we don't know. Maybe it's just like a
Yeah,
I don't know how to say it.
I think they definitely wanted it to be ambiguous because they want us to know. I think the way they kind of put it together was they want us to know that that is where Janie and Barb would be, but because they don't actually show us like them frozen in the cryopod, there's no way for us to specifically know whether or not they are in there, and now we're questioning that, and it gives them the opportunity to set us up for kind of being in the same mindset that Cooper is in, to like be like, oh yeah, he's going to find his family, and then the immediate disappointment of no, they're not actually, like the tragedy of like he's been doing this for literal hundreds of years now, and you know, maybe he has closure, but they're not in there. Like all of his travels were essentially for the cause that he had for naught.
I feel like it'd be. I want them to be alive somewhere or frozen, because plot twist. If they're all dead, what's the point? Like, I feel like the Ghoul will have no reason to continue anymore. That's when the Ghoul will just sort of give up, because that's the one thing pushing him forwards.
I'd like to think that his time with like Maximus, like let's say him and Maximus and Lucy, I would like to think that like if they are dead, at least he'll have closure on it now and know, and then maybe, you know, that like this will be a character defining change for him, going from the Ghoul who just spent all of his time stalking the wasteland and change to Cooper, and not the same Cooper from before the war, you know, changed version, but an actual person who's willing to be vulnerable, you know, in that. So that'll be something, you know, that's definitely to be seen. But yeah, I part of me actually kind of hopes that Janie and Barbara aren't in there, because I want to see how Cooper would react to that. Like, will he just give up, like you said, or will he persevere through that, like, you know, tragedy for him, like that very personal tragedy of like, not only is my wife and child dead, I wasn't there with them when they died, and these last basically 120 years that I've been out and about have been for nothing. And then can he even deal with that, would be an interesting question. So I think, plus if he does meet them, like what is he going to actually do with them? Like if they're in there and he's able to rescue them, what will he actually do?
Because there's nowhere to really go, is there? It's just unless maybe Lucy's like, oh, we can go back to our vault, but come on, like that's just. I mean, they could stay in Hank's little vault, I guess, but I want them to move on. I want them to keep moving.
Yeah.
So that's one of the reasons why I don't want them to be in there. I'd like to see how the Ghoul would react if he'd become more human, let himself. We've seen him be emotional. He's been crying. He cried this episode, and he was very emotional last episode, just handing Lucy over, showing that he's not 100% like a monster anymore. He has that Cooper side is coming back, and I hope one day we see Lucy call him Cooper, because then it's like they're actually friends now. They're actually companions. They can live in the wasteland like as a group.
Yeah.
Help, and especially like helping people and stuff, because I feel like that's the path they would go, like rather than just being like, oh, we're going to just live in like a shack in the middle of nowhere. They're going to help people out, because the Ghoul's going to live for the foreseeable future. He's not going to want to kill anyone. He's not. Well, I mean, this is what I hope, at least. I want him to, like, especially if his wife and child are around, to show him that he's still the man he once was. He's not just because he looks scary, just because he's wearing the same clothes he has for 200 years. So he probably stinks as well. Like, he's still the Cooper Howard that was a father, that was a husband, a soldier. Like, he's there somewhere, but yeah, I want to see the soft side of him come out eventually.
Yeah, I agree. We know that he's confirmed for another season, like you said. So, if that's the case, at some point I was thinking, like, okay, if Barb and Janie are dead, and now Cooper has that closure, does he make some kind of heroic sacrifice to end his, like, character's arc? To be like, well, I've, like, sort of like a heroic comeback story where he's been this villain for, well over a century. And then the whole reason he was doing it was for no reason, for him to redeem himself, to, like, actually do something for the greater good of the wasteland in the form of, like, stopping Hank or throwing a wrench in the Enclave's plans, giving the opportunity for the good guys to make a final stand or something like that. That would be cool to see. I would like to see that. I do hope that the end for his character, whenever it does come, will be something heroic and not just him dying like a pointless death.
Yeah, like Queen Feral.
Yeah. I want to see Cooper. Number one, I guess some people might not like this. I don't want to see Cooper live forever. Like, I know some people probably want him to go on forever. I think Cooper Howard's character would be best served by some kind of heroic death in some way, whether that's this season or next season, probably sometime next season or the season after that, or however long they keep this going. I don't think Cooper should have a happily ever after ending. I think maybe Lucy deserves that. Maybe Maximus deserves that. But I think Cooper would best be served by saying, look, he had his arc. He's definitely by far and away this season the most developed character.
Yeah.
Like, I would say Maximus and Lucy were way more developed last season than Cooper was. Cooper is like the main character of season 2. He's practically in every episode. He is I think Cooper is one of the only characters that has been in every single episode continuously. I don't think there is any episode that we've not had Cooper Howard in some way, shape, or form doing something that, like, helped to move the plot along centrally. Maybe you could count episode 2 where he gets stuck in the hospital and he's not really doing anything there. I guess you could count that. That might be like the one episode where you could say he's not doing anything. But he's still there. He's in that episode doing at least something. So he's definitely got main character energy. And it's like where the episodes that he isn't really doing very much start to feel like filler episodes. So I like this episode, where he's not really doing very much. He's just kind of not being dead and being rescued by Marcus. So in that case, I would say, yeah, like, he's got big main character energy. When he's not doing something, it feels like the show grinds to a halt. And that's I don't know if that's a compliment to his character or to the detriment of everybody else's characters in the show, but either way, I really like Cooper, but I do think that, like, he can't be an evergreen character. At some point, he has to make a sacrifice to redeem, because it's not like he's a good guy still, like, he's still done a whole lot of horrible, horrendous shit in the wasteland to people. Like in season 1 where he just kills that father and son, or kills the son at the very least.
It's basically like the scene straight out of The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Like, he is the bad, and he has to, like, this season has kind of been creating a dynamic, complex character for him, not just like season 1 we knew he was from before the war, and we knew he was like a little bit different, but he was still just this, like, you know, murderer. Now we understand that there's a lot more nuance and complexity to him, but he still has to have the opportunity to well and truly redeem himself.
Yeah, definitely.
And that redemption might have to come in the form of like self-sacrifice. So if he finds out Janie and Barb are dead, that sets him up for, number one, he might want to know, well, who killed them? And he might want revenge. And that if that revenge lines up with, if it's like had something to do with the Enclave, then he has a very good reason to basically go off and fight them, and maybe do it for end up being sort of a hero by the end of that. And that's what I want to see for him, at least.
Yeah.
I think that would be a nice way to wrap up his character. I do wonder about like Maximus. Where are we with Maximus's character arc?
Well, that's an interesting one because because him and Lucy were sort of a thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say they were fully a thing. It was more like they knew each other for like a few days and then smooched once. But he still thinks about her a lot, so I think he wants to end up going off with her somewhere. But his arc currently is he's just caused a massive civil war that is going to last a long time. Like there's 3 airships are going to come crashing down. The Commonwealth's going to swoop in at some point. I hope to see the Commonwealth next season. That'll be good. Maybe that's going to be like the end scene. Commonwealth arriving.
Yeah.
Because they've been over already. They've been to California. And I think Maximus is going to leave that brotherhood life for good. Maybe go and get Dane as well.
I do love Dane. I love Dane's character. I would like to see them come back. At least be a part of the crew,
Yeah.
Like or to like again have some I don't want Dane to just exist nebulously in the Brotherhood. I want them to either be a part of the crew or have a moment where their character is like, okay, they're dead. That's wrapped up. There is no more like nebulous, like what's going on with Dane. They either need to be a part of the crew or out of the picture entirely.
I would like to see them a part of the crew, definitely.
Same.
And I hope we do get like quite a big crew of them just going around the wasteland, seeing what's going on, meeting new groups, new villains. I feel like that's a bit like what every single show does. They're like sort of like Scooby-Doo sort of group. Like they come together and solve quote unquote mysteries. I would like that, but someone's gonna die this season. I just sense it. I think it's Thaddeus so far.
You think Thaddeus, and do you think that's going to be like a sort of sacrificial death or like a
mutation?
You think he's going to die of his mutation?
Not die, but lose who he is. Like people are saying he's a centaur, which would be cool to see a centaur. And I don't think Thaddeus, like his character's cool, but I don't see him lasting. How many seasons do you think this show's going to go? Like 4, 5?
As of right now, I would say I can see with the material that let's consider the material that we have. We have the Enclave set up, right? As a long-term villain to deal with. The Legion still exists, but they are now like a tertiary background, like side villain. They're they've been a minor inconvenience more than a villain. The NCR is barely in the picture. The last little holdout, I'm assuming that they're all dead now, right? Yeah. Biff was apparently kidnapped, Like, what does that mean about the other ranger and the trooper that was there? They're probably dead. Biff is now dead. Like, so, because, I mean, like, his mind was, like we said, Hank makes it very clear that the mind control device, the autonomous man, is a mind wipe. That's how it works. You forget who you are. Everything you ever were is obliterated. And so, like, Biff is dead.
Yeah.
All the NCR is dead. Moldaver is dead. She died in season 1. Hank still is alive. I'm going to say that Hank is going to be dealt with by the end of this season.
Hopefully, yeah.
By the end of episode 8, Hank will have been dealt with. I think they're going to be full blown on the Enclave. I want to see that. I want to see how they do that. And I could see that being one season of them getting to the bottom of like finding out who the Enclave is, and then potentially another season of them actually fighting the Enclave full blown.
Okay, yeah.
So I can see at most with the material that we have right now, 2 seasons. And that depends, of course, on whatever tie-in that season I'm sorry, not season, that Fallout 5 has, if Fallout 5 ever comes out.
God, a long wait for that.
Yeah, it's going to be at least 10 years. Will that have anything to do with that? So it seems like the Fallout TV show is all we have, and they're going to have to deal with this whole Enclave thing on their own. So I can see 2 seasons. If they do more than that, I think they're going to be beating a dead horse, because Fallout's not like Game of Thrones. Like these are pretty self-contained stories, but and they're not like long, massive epics. You know,
I hope they don't do a Walking Dead with it, where it's just it ends and then boom for like 4 spin-offs. We don't need all these spin-offs of like seasons. Like once it's done, it's done. Don't try and bring it back because it makes money. Like, and it makes a lot of money for Amazon because they're going to start filming again in May, so they're getting these seasons out quite fast. So I don't think we'll even get the show be around when Fallout 5 comes about. I think it'll be at least 5 years after the show finishes before we still have to get Elder Scrolls, which is probably a year or 2, maybe, hopefully.
Yeah, I think a year from now is probably the most optimistic.
Yeah, and then they have to start production on 5 because that hasn't even been touched yet.
Yeah, I think they said Fallout 5 was in pre-production, but that's it. So they're pretty much just concepting the game right now. No, like they haven't really broke. Yeah, they haven't. Yeah, they haven't broken ground on anything for Fallout 5 yet. So I definitely agree. I don't want to see Fallout TV show just keep going for the sake of going. If they are going to do that, like I don't mind seeing a different show based in, in the Fallout, like Wasteland. I don't mind seeing another show like that, but I don't need to see like, Lucy and the gang going on however many adventures over and over and over again, just because you want to keep making the show, especially if they're just kind of like meaningless little things that have like no real depth or substance to them.
Yeah. I'd be happy with like this show being on the West Coast, then maybe you do an East Coast show.
Yeah.
That could be interesting. Like maybe even like I'll say a different country, but Fallout is like America. That's where Fallout is. That's what Fallout like.
Yeah, it's Americana.
Yeah, so like one in China, I've seen people say that could be interesting, but no point. It's not that interesting to make a show about. So I definitely think a West Coast and an East Coast show is the most like realistic, if not maybe like a spin-off of one of the characters.
Yeah. I definitely haven't seen the app, but oh, thanks, man. So I think having the China and other countries in other continents like South America, Europe, Australia, like any other continents, I think are more interesting as just like references that exist. And I think they're more interesting as unexplored locations than they are like, oh, what if we made a game that tried to, number one, you're never like, there have been how many games for like, let's see here, Fallout 2, Fallout Tactics, Fallout Brotherhood of Steel, Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas, Fallout 4, Fallout 76, and Fallout Shelter. How many games is that? And we have like, that barely scratches the surface of how many different locations there are to fully explore. They haven't even gotten close to like exploring what Canada looks like, or Alaska, or like Hawaii. I think Hawaii Fallout could be interesting, which, Hawaii is in the middle of the ocean, completely isolated from everywhere else, unless you have like planes or you're willing to, sail a ship over there. And if only one or two warheads hit Hawaii, like maybe Hawaii is actually doing really well for itself. That could be a cool, like non-traditional location to explore. But I don't think they would ever be able to explore what another country looks like in Fallout in just one game without it being the most unsatisfying experience ever. Like, you could not possibly thoroughly explore all of like China, what the war meant for China, what pre-war Chinese culture was like, how that compares to post-war Chinese culture, what happened in the 200 years since, like all of that. There's no way in hell you could explore that thoroughly in one game.
Yeah.
They couldn't do it for Fallout. There's no way they could do it for China or Russia or the UK or Australia or anything like that. It's just not possible. And otherwise, I feel like if you're not going to try and thoroughly explore the location, going to another country is kind of like a gimmick. I would rather them, if you're going to actually try and authentically do it, I would rather you spend that energy authentically exploring another part of the United States to help build this image that we have going right now, rather than starting new somewhere else,
Yeah.
But I don't know, somebody might make an argument that sways me off of that. And it's like, oh, actually, I do think it would be cool to see something else. I would say it'd be neat to see Canada or like a part of Mexico. Those would be interesting because those are connected directly to the United States. And we know like the NCR expanded into the Baja Peninsula. That would be an interesting region to see. There are definitely like geographically interesting locations, like, the Great Lakes region is a perfect place to explore. There was a conversation that I had with somebody a while ago about, exploring like Detroit or Cleveland, or like a better, fuller exploration of Pittsburgh. You could do one Niagara Falls. You could do, like, is it Toronto? And I know Buffalo is the U.S. side. I want to say Toronto is the Canadian side of the Niagara. I have to look. That would be another cool thing to see. I mean, obviously, New York City is an interesting location where we've had lots of references to it, but we don't know exactly what it looks like. That would be another cool place to see.
there are tons and tons of still like North American spots to see before I would ever want to see them start venturing into other countries or other continents, I guess I should say.
Yeah. I just like how it's only referenced about other countries. Like, we've seen people like Tenpenny's from the UK. There's a guy in Far Harbour. He's from the UK.
Moriarty is from, I think, Scotland, right?
Yorkshire.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah.
So, like, they seem to be living well over there, and that's all I need to know. I don't need to see London. Like, I know London's going to be destroyed. The mod's cool, but
yeah, like the mod, like that's not to like poo-poo anybody who's making like mod expansion. I mean, like, because those are cool, but I mean, like, in terms of official developer resources, that's the kind of like I want to see them focus on more North America. Like, same thing. I don't want to see them. Like, for years and years and years, people talked about Fallout New Vegas 2. Like, whoa, wouldn't a Fallout New Vegas 2 be awesome? No, it wouldn't be. Number one, because this is Fallout New Vegas 2, and it kind of sucks. Not to poo-poo anybody or shit on anyone's parade, but, I don't want to see Fallout New Vegas 2. I want them to go somewhere new and do something new. Like, it'd be cool to go to Salt Lake City,
Oh, yeah.
referenced a whole bunch. The, New Canaan was destroyed by the White Legs. Well, what does that look like now? How does that look? Like I said, so many other places to explore. Like, the entire Northwest of the United States, to our knowledge, apparently there is the Enclave, and then there's tons of warlords and tribals. I'd love to see that. That sounds fucking awesome, and that's right up Bethesda's alley. One super put together organization that existed before the war. It's already fucking fleshed out. They just have to plagiarize stuff from another game and call it theirs, right? That's all they have to do. And then you've got all sorts of tribals and shithole wasteland stuff. Bethesda hates making like an actual society in the wasteland. You don't have to. This is perfect for them. That's a perfect area for them to explore. It can be the shithole wasteland garbage that they love to make. Explore that. That sounds like a great time. I'd love to see that. Especially because I feel like there's not enough tribals in Fallout anymore. Like, a big part of Fallout used to be like tribes. And like, how do those, even in New Vegas, like, we see, the wasteland's very settled, but the more and more you get away from society, you begin to realize how many tribes there are. Like, the Legion is made up of conquered tribes from Arizona and Colorado. But then up north, it's like, we get constant references to the fact that there are just tribes that are probably similar to Arroyo. I want to see those. I want to see those types of places. And I would like to see more of that. Not having any tribes in Fallout 3 and Fallout 4 kind of felt like a missed opportunity. I'd like to see more tribal stuff.
Yeah. Well, the East Coast felt very like urban. It felt like the complete opposite, which I mean, I guess could be a good thing to some people, but don't go too far away from the roots of the games. Otherwise, you're going to have a completely different game.
Yeah. I think part of the issue with the way they've made the games now is that the urban parts of the game are made quite large because they're trying to make it feel like a city. But then the in-between suburban and rural areas of all these places that they make, which is like going to be 80% of the total landscape in a given area in a region because of how, America was developed over, centuries. They kind of they grow the urban part, they shrink the rural and suburban part. And because of that, it's kind of difficult to try and create a tribe out of a area like that. But even so, you can still make tribes in like, blown out cityscapes. Yeah. You can do that. That's like the Denver Hounds. That's what they were. And, that's what like, there's who's the guy who looks after Luca? in the Legion. I can never remember his name. There's Luca the dog. I can't remember who is her like keeper, but he's a Denver Hound, or he's from the tribe that the Denver Hounds were known for the Denver Hounds, I should say. That's the correct way to say that.
Let's have a look. Anthony.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anthony. Yeah. There's lots of opportunity for them to do cool stuff with just still the United States. You don't even have to venture into Mexico or Canada. I don't mind that. Like, I think Seattle is another area I'd like to see. Seattle is a really, really interesting part of the country. I'd like to see that region more fully explored, especially with how like wet that is. I feel like wet hasn't been explored enough in Fallout. Even like DC, which is just swamps, wasn't fully explored as a wet area. Seattle would be cool to see.
I want to see more like water stuff in the games, like ocean and stuff, because Fallout 4 is on the coast, right? You look out thinking, oh, there's going to be something scary under there. No, there's nothing. There's tires and that's about it. Like, there's so many underutilized things about the game. And especially, like, if they were to do, like, a northern state, you could have a bit in Canada. Just, like, because every game goes into a few different states. Like, New Vegas, you go into California for a little bit. You go into... You can cross the Colorado River and all that. In 3, you can go to states around that. 4, you go to Maine. It's... I like stuff like that, where it's like you venture out for like a DLC. I wouldn't mind that, but having a game separate itself from what Fallout is, like they're not going. If they like randomly making a game in like Mexico or like
deep in Mexico, like in Mexico City,
yeah, like so far out the way, like maybe a DLC there could be cool, but don't focus your game around that. Because it's just going to pull away from the feeling of Fallout if it's just like... Because I'm assuming Mexico will look a lot different to America or how Canada looks. Every country will have a different, like, vibe to it. It'll just take away from, like, the futuristic design.
And also, Fallout, one of Fallout's core identities is its, like, the way that it parodies specific American cultural traits. And if you go into other countries, you lose that, like a massive criticism that Fallout makes constantly of American culture is consumerism, right? It's constantly mocking American consumerism with things like Nuka-Cola, Like, there are 6 billion different variants of fucking Nuka-Cola all over every game. They add like 5 of them. And like, there's a billion Nuka-Cola mascots. There's Nuka-Cola fucking everything all over the place. And it's specifically designed to mock consumerist culture of like constantly having to buy stuff just because of a brand name or whatever. And when you set it in another country, you either have to come up with a new identity separate from that. Like, you have to start mocking whatever their identity is. But then if Fallout is made by American developers, you risk not having the cultural touchstones that you need. Or I should say, like, the developers and the writers will risk not having the proper experience with those cultures, which in all likelihood they won't. And if they try and make a game around that, it's just going to seem extremely xenophobic and, like, in some cases racist, in other cases, like, essentially just making a whole bunch of ethnic or cultural caricatures of whole countries. And that is not something that I think Bethesda wants to be doing in the first place. Like, a lot of Fallout's humor is mocking American culture. setting it in another country, that especially one that's not like a predominantly like West, predominantly white, predominantly English speaking country, if you set it in another place that has a wildly different culture than that, it's like they're not going to know what to do with it. So they either do that or they whitewash it and then make it the same exact like retro futuristic, vibe that American Fallout has. And then you just say, "Oh, well, we're doing it in another country." It's like, well, what's the point of doing it in another country if you're just going to make it the same? Like, why are you doing that? It seems kind of like a waste. So I would rather just see other countries explored through the perception or through the tidbits that we can get from other characters, terminals, things like that.
And I'm happy how that is. I'd rather that than anything, because I'd like to look into stuff. I'm literally like a lore enthusiast. There could be one sentence someone says about like Australia, and I'll look into it for hours, because it's all about like the mystery behind it. Like, not knowing is better than knowing sometimes, because it's up to interpretation. Like, is Australia full of radiated kangaroos? Maybe. Are the people now kangaroos? We don't know.
I like the idea of and this is a very distinct line of thought from like J.J. Abrams' mystery box, because J.J. Abrams' mystery box is just an excuse to not have written in an actual story. It's just a way of saying like, well, we didn't want to bother thinking about it, so we'll let the audience try and write it out for us. Which is in part why the Star Wars sequels are so bad, is because there's no connecting underlying plot thread. There's just a mystery box full of mysteries, and J.J. Abrams doesn't know what the answers to those mysteries are because he's lazy and stupid. Fallout, on the other hand, as long as they make stuff, like, the way to properly do that is if the writers know what the actual answers are, but they don't quite reveal what the answers are, and they allow the player to kind of give them hints and marinate those hints in their minds and let them try and come up with the answers on their own. That's a lot more interesting than just saying, here's the answer. And that's another reason why I never wanted a New Vegas 2, because the ending for New Vegas being as complex and dynamic as it is, it was always more interesting to speculate about what the Mojave would look like, one ending versus the other. How would that come out? And then it's part of the reason why I really don't like the way that the show handled it, is because the show kind of tried to whitewash it all and make it one big nebulous, vague thing to say like, oh, all of your headcanons are correct. And actually, this is just how it always ends up being, is an incredibly boring way to do it, because it takes away all the mystique that deciphering, or that like all the speculation about like, well, what would have happened if the courier did this or that, and then like how would that have affected things, and Bethesda and Amazon's answer is nothing. It would have changed absolutely nothing, because this is always what happens. Versus if they had said, this is the specific ending that we picked and we are extrapolating from this ending, that retains a lot of the information, or I shouldn't say information, it retains a lot of the ability to look back and say, well, what would have happened if this had happened instead? And, that affects the replayability of the game too, because, if they gave us a proper canon ending, and maybe it was one of the most popular endings, like what if they went with an NCR ending and said, this is how NCR endings mostly turn out, with some variation. A lot of people would probably go back and be like, well, I'm going to play NCR, or I'm going to play House or Yes Man, and play around with those endings, and maybe see if like the end slides that I get are going to be distinct enough to make me feel like this isn't what was going to happen. There's so much more opportunity with that, and it's another reason why I don't like Bethesda's kind of philosophy on canonicity around their endings, where they're unwilling to give the player lots of agency because they're afraid of the effort that it will take. Number one, the effort that it takes to do that, to create those dynamic plot lines where, it's easy enough to tell a player what to go do. It's much more difficult to just give them a goal to go accomplish and then try and envision all the different ways that they might go and complete that goal. That's an entirely different way of making a game that I don't think Bethesda is used to or able to do. And that leads to them making games that feel very rigid and don't really feel dynamic. Like Skyrim is a very rigid game. You go from location to location to location to location, and NPCs do not give you goals to go achieve. It's like you have to just do the thing that they tell you to do, and that's it. You go and do the thing. They don't just say, and you have to do it in the way they tell you to do it. Like getting on, like I'll use the Dark Brotherhood quest. Getting on the Emperor's ship is not a matter of how you built your character and the path that you could take to get onto his ship. It's like the game, like the NPCs, Bethesda tells you this is how you're going to get on the ship. If you built your character in a way that's beneficial to that, it's going to be really fun and easy. If you built your character counterintuitive to that, it's going to suck. And there's no other ways for you to do it. You just have to do it the way that the game was programmed and scripted to let you do it. And to a larger extent, that affects the main quest, where in a traditional RPG, you might expect to be able to, for instance, like side with Alduin or side with Mirak as these like big villains, be like, no, I want to end the world, and I'm the Dragonborn, I have the power to do that. But because Bethesda wants to have a series of games and quote unquote respect everybody's headcanons, they have to strip players of as much agency as possible so that there's not all of these loose threads that they will have to just cut and say, no, I'm sorry, that's not canon. That doesn't happen. In the same way that I don't like Elder Scrolls 6, the outcome of Skyrim Civil War is not going to matter in Elder Scrolls 6 because there is a number one, again, Bethesda's whole position on canon and non-canon stuff. They don't want to step on, they want you to be able to have a headcanon and your headcanon always be right. But secondarily, at the end of the Civil War quest line, everybody makes it very clear. The Stormcloaks and the Empire, the Imperials, they were never the real villains that we were fighting. It's always the Thalmor is the one who's behind all of it. So obviously in the next game, it's going to be the Thalmor, and it doesn't matter who wins the Civil War. They'll probably barely even reference the Civil War in Skyrim even happening. And that's the most agency that you're given in that game. And that, comes along too with the whole, the fact that you can do the companions quests and you can also do the Dark Brotherhood quests in the same playthrough. It's like those two things, in my opinion, should be mutually exclusive. If you do one, you should be locked out from doing the other by virtue of the Dark Brotherhood doesn't trust you in because you're some virtuous noble warrior. You're not some sneaky character that they're like, oh yeah, that we can trust you to do this, and vice versa. The companions were like, no, we're pretty sure that you've had dealings with the Dark Brotherhood. We don't want you in our ranks. There should be that kind of consequence to your choices, but because Bethesda wants you to be able to do whatever you want, they have to remove that layer of consequence. So you have to be able to do everything in one playthrough. And I find that makes the game very uninteresting because factions never react to you as a character. They kind of just beg you for help and feel and seem completely incompetent and totally inept because they need your help. I don't know. That was a big tangent. All to say that the way Bethesda makes games makes it really difficult for them to make like an RPG with real depth and reactivity and all of that in it. I don't know. It's tough. It's a hard line to walk, but it just comes down to the fact that like they limit themselves so much with that, and as a result of that, they limit the player, and that's unfortunate.
Yeah,
Fallout 4 was definitely better with that because there was the Brotherhood, the Institute, the Minutemen, the Railroad. Like there was like the Fallout 4 endings are actually very dynamic. So I'll give them credit where credit's due. The Fallout 4's main quest, I think, is handled a lot better than Skyrim's. Not to go on a Bethesda hate train because that's never what I want this to be, is a Bethesda hate train. But I think the way they design games is at least as far as like if they're intent on keep making RPGs, it's definitely worthy of criticism. If what their goal is to make it an action adventure game, totally different set of standards. Let's see here. Let's kind of go back to the episode. What have we not talked about?
Let's have a look. Bob getting the cold fusion out of Hank's neck, I guess. We haven't talked about that.
There was that. Yeah, okay. I haven't really formulated anything on that, what that like means. Do you have any thoughts on that? Like, do you think that's a meaningful thing?
Not really. I just feel like Bob feels guilty for. I mean, it seemed like they were trying to redeem Bob a little bit here. I don't want that. Like, just keep it down one like tangent line. Don't flip it around halfway through. But
yeah,
I'm assuming that Hank would still think he's got the cold fusion in his neck for the time being. So maybe this deal with Mr. House to get the cold fusion or whatever it was, that's all under the table. That's not with Vault-Tec, but directly with Bob and Cooper. That's what I'm getting from that, rather than. So I don't know. I don't know what it means for the bigger picture, but
let's do a little bit of engagement bait. If I assume we have at least 3 viewers. If you are able to type something out, like, what do you think is going to happen with the cold fusion between House and Vault-Tec? Because I think we can kind of all agree it doesn't seem like House ever got the cold fusion. Especially because the Lucky 38 is in like New Vegas referred to specifically as having nuclear reactors. I don't think he had cold fusion in Fallout New Vegas. I don't think they could even really like the pursuit of cold fusion, and as a necessary reaction to that, the need for a platinum chip, that's a pretty easy thing to kind of sew in there. Like gently suggest that House needed the platinum chip for a couple reasons, and part of it is because he couldn't get cold fusion. That could be a reason.
Yeah.
But if they tried to give him cold fusion, I don't think you could neatly write that into there, especially because like the whole reason New Vegas happens the way it does is because he runs out of power, or like he overexerts himself, so all of his stuff crashes. That's why New Vegas is the way that it is, because House was not present for so long. I do wonder if maybe Barb is going to. is going to help Cooper in some way, like obscure it. If it doesn't get to House, we know the Enclave had it. How did the Enclave get it? Maybe did it go missing for a long time?
Well, maybe instead of it being sold to House, it was sold to Wilsig. Because they meet in the elevator. I'm assuming he'll be next episode somewhere.
Well,
again.
Wilsig is just a pawn.
Yeah.
He's not really a major player. Like, he's just in the same way that Barb is ultimately still a pawn, a willing, complicit pawn, but a pawn nonetheless. And like, Vault-Tec is not really Vault-Tec is like a part of the Enclave. It's not just collaborating with it, like it's a full part of it. Like, the Enclave is, as an organization, it is the US government, it is Vault-Tec, it is Poseidon Energy, it is all of these companies that existed being wrapped up together, and all of them exist simultaneously together as the Enclave, which I think probably didn't really start to exist as its own unique identity until after the war, when like they were all that was left and they needed to like band together, and that's when they were like, oh, we're actually like a faction now, we're not just this thing. I also don't think the Enclave was named the Enclave until maybe after the war, because I don't think anybody pre-war says the word Enclave. Well, actually, no, I'm mistaken. Fallout 4 makes the reference to Control Station Enclave.
Yeah, and 76.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, it wasn't before the war, but it was like as soon as they went into that underground vault under the White Springs,
they refer to themselves as the Enclave.
Zax is like, welcome to our little Enclave. And then, so it was called the Enclave probably before, but not.
It was like a descriptor, not a name.
Yeah, not yet.
It only became a name later. That makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we've explored this episode pretty thoroughly. We talked about.
We haven't talked about the teaser, if there's anything in that.
We do see that Norm tries to talk to his dad, and we do know that Maximus and Cooper and Thaddeus all team up together. Which one of those do you find more interesting? We'll go on that.
That's a good question. They're both equally interesting to me, but I think I'm going to have to go with Max and Thaddeus.
Okay.
Because I just want to see the dynamic with the ghoul, because we see them in like a little standoff over the cold fusion.
Yeah.
Could be interesting to see how that works out, how it's explained. Maybe that's the ghoul open up a little bit more about his past with it. But then with Norm, we know nothing about what they're going to get up to other than they're going to get attacked by the Rad Roaches, and that's it. We don't see a single teaser from any of the trailers of them past that point. Can
I ask, how do we know they get attacked by the Rad Roaches? Is it just implied? Like
it's in one of the trailers.
Oh, okay.
And you can see them all running down a hallway, and there's Rad Roaches are jumping on them all. It was actually in last episode's teaser, but we never see it this episode, so it might have been cut. But I know there's a bunch of cut scenes from this episode that involved Janie.
Interesting.
There was a scene with Janie when the super mutant's speaking. Apparently, Janie was in that scene for some reason. So that's probably like more like a hallucination sort of thing. Like he's dying. Probably see. I don't know.
Yeah, because he does mention while he's on the pole about his daughter Janie. He does mention that a whole bunch. Well, he's like trying to retain his not go feral, which is an interesting. Seems like they're like trying to kind of like retconning their own retcon. Like maybe they realize that making it so that ghouls only go feral or can only stay non-feral is by taking a drug, they might have been like, oh, that's actually like kind of really problematic for like 99% of all the stories told in Fallout.
Yeah.
And so now they're like, well, actually, if you have strength of will to not go feral, you can avoid going feral, but the drug makes it easier. I don't know. I don't know.
I had another point. Let me. What was it? Oh, it's gone out my head. I had an interesting point, but bleh.
We know that Norm is going to try and contact Hank.
Yeah. Oh, I've remembered it. So Biowagon was on about how Cooper, I think it was Biowagon, he said he's going to become a glowing one because of the uranium ore. Do you think it got removed, or do you think it's still in his stomach?
That's a good question. Okay. It seems like he healed up around the thing. I don't know. In the ending of that scene, when Marcus is kind of, I don't want to use the word attacking Cooper, but when there's like a kind of like a squidgy sound. I don't think he was removing the uranium from him. Somebody said the uranium got removed, but we never see definitively the uranium come out of him. I don't know.
I'm trying to find a screenshot of the end of the episode where he's lying down. That'll probably tell us if there's still a hole in his stomach or not. Because if there's a hole, well, not like a full hole, then the uranium's been removed. But if there's not, then it's probably healed around it.
Yeah, let me pull it up here, and I'll. It talks about like, oh, the uranium to heal you. Let's see here. I'm kind of rewinding a bunch to try and find. It looks like Marcus pulls something, but then he also, in the same motion, smacks him on the head to knock him out. So I don't know if he pulled it out. And the uranium, it was almost completely healed, too, when he knocks him out.
Yeah. I'll just rewatch that now.
Let me fast forward a bit to the end.
It looks like it's pretty much completely around him, like inside him.
There's only a tiny little bit.
I wouldn't want him to become a glowing one, because I feel like that'll just take him further away from Cooper.
They've also put a shadow over where that hole is in his abdomen. Like, it's really hard to see. I don't even see a hole through his like shirt or anything. Let me rewind to Cooper being on the pole. Try and figure out. I want to see if the pole ripped his shirt or if it just like went through some of the buttons. I know they show it. Come on. God damn it. Show me the upwards view of fucking Cooper. I want to see it. Come on. Dude. I just want to see. Okay. It definitely went straight through his vest. But I don't know if it went through his shirt or not. It doesn't seem like it put a hole in his shirt.
Mm.
So there's no way for us to know. I guess we can go to here. This is where Marcus rips it off. And drags him away. I'm going to try and find where Marcus has been, or kind of propped him up. No, it did not. Okay, so it didn't tear his shirt.
Right.
So his shirt can be rebuttoned and hide the wound. There's no way for us to know if it was removed or not, unless Cooper specifically mentions it.
Okay.
So it could be in there. It might not. I don't know. We do know by the next episode he's walking, so
he'll be fine.
That uranium might make him invincible. Like he just can't be killed because he's got an infinite healing source now. Got a fucking little ghoul fountain of youth inside of him. I am curious about what. So, like, we know. Does Lucy know that Hank is from before the war?
Not fully. All she knows is that well, she heard what Cooper said at the end of season 1, where it's like we have a lot of history together, and that he spent a long time like waiting for this moment. But that's it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's ever directly shown that.
It's possible that Norm finds out about it. As I really hope Norm does figure it out. Because if Norm and Lucy can meet up again and then talk about Hank directly to one another, that might affect how Lucy handles it. And especially, like, okay, if Norm and Lucy meet up, I think Hank is just dead. But they only have 2 episodes to do that. So I don't know if that will happen. We also see, like, Lucy's in that yellow dress. She clearly decided to stay at the bunker. But then it seems like she, like, rips something open with a crowbar, and she looks inside, and she sees something that she doesn't like. And I'm wondering what she sees inside that room. Like, is she going to make the choice to stay or leave? What's going to make her change her mind? I wonder if she'll find out how the mind control works. I don't really know.
Yeah, there's a lot to. There's not a lot shown about that stuff, so
yeah,
I guess it's good that it's up to interpretation, but still have to wait half a week for it.
I'm also really curious on what will we see of the Enclave in Fallout Season 2. Will we actually see the Enclave? Or is it just going to keep being that, like, Wilzig is all we get to see of them? Like, what extent of the Enclave will be revealed to us by the end of Season 2?
I think there'll be it'll be more like a post-credit sort of thing where more gets revealed, because in the last episode, they don't have a lot of time to finish it all off for this season. You have an hour, so I think teasing it's the best way to go. That's the only way I can see it happening. It's like a little like, oh, evil people here again.
I do wonder. I guess I kind of really. This is my own personal thing. I really want to see the advanced power armors adapted for live action, or even Exo 1 power armor. Like, I just want to see any of those 3 sets adapted to the live action style. I would love, honestly, okay. I will forgive the show of many of its crimes. Maybe forgive is the wrong thing. I can enjoy the Enclave coming back more, even if they don't execute them very well, if at least visually they look badass. Like, if they do an awesome job recreating their power armor for live action and all of their like outfits and just their like general aesthetic, I would love to see that.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's very possible that the Enclave that they go to show will be distinctly different from the Enclave of Fallout 2 and whatnot. And maybe it will be a more expanded version of the Fallout 3 Enclave, or like, you know, maybe not like a Fallout 3 version, but I mean like a new pseudo Enclave where they call themselves the Enclave, they have access to the Enclave's resources, they're organized, and they've taken on a new objective, a new unifying mission. What do you want? Okay, so we know the Enclave are coming back. And we know that, like, in order for it to be done, like, feel good, and for it to not just seem like they're rehashing the same thing, what would you like to see them do? And I don't mean like, you know, let's come up with some very specific plot thread of what the Enclave will do. I don't want to create too many expectations, because then we'll definitely be disappointed. But what would you want to see from the Enclave in a season 3 to feel like they were not just a rehashing of shit we've already seen?
I'd want them to be like actually feared, like not a simple just blow them up and that's done. Like, I want them to have a purpose to be there, not just like, oh, they're here because they are. Like, we know they're doing research on super mutants and all that. I'd like to look into that. That could be interesting. More instead of like,
I don't want to see another Frank Horgan.
No, I just want to see like that. I want them to have a purpose. I don't want them to be wasted, and I want them to be an actual threat. So it's more like a back and forwards between, between the group or whoever will be around. Maybe like faction versus faction, and they're just stuck in the middle of it.
Mm-hmm.
But if that was to happen, I'd want them to win. I'd want the Enclave to like defeat the other faction, become a threat, become a powerhouse, because we see him have power. We've seen him in like, I think it's Raven Rock or whatever. Like, they can have power, but they get destroyed so easily by one person. Maybe make it so it's like they have control over a community. Maybe they have their own. Maybe instead of them being a threat, they have like their own Diamond City somewhere. They're looking after people. They're doing their own thing while looking after the people. And then, like,
it would be interesting if somewhere up north, out of the purview of everybody else, some isolated place, like they actually have their own like society set up that isn't just like secretive military bases. Like, they've grown beyond that, you know. Yeah. That would be interesting to see. I also, for me, one of the things I'd like to see them do, if they're going to come back, they have to beat the Brotherhood of Steel. Like, they have to absolutely, like, I mean, like in Fallout 2, they beat the Brotherhood pretty bad. I want to see them like eradicate whatever chapter of the Brotherhood they come across, like annihilate them. and that could be how Dane goes. Like maybe Dane gets just obliterated by like an Enclave attack. You know, they're already in the middle of their civil war. It would be an interesting thing. Like, oh, the Brotherhood is like this, like they're the ones that right now seem like they're holding the most power. They have all the power armor. They have these Zeppelins. They can go anywhere, do anything, kill anybody. If the Enclave just came in the middle of their war and just destroyed all of them without breaking a sweat, deployed troops that were unified, had organization, weren't like weird religious zealots, just came in and absolutely wiped the floor, that'd be awesome to see. I would love to see that. Mostly because I want to see the Brotherhood get their shit kicked in, but also because the Enclave, like you said, they have to be an actual threat. They have to do something that shows that they're an actual threat. And if they can just, without even breaking a sweat, annihilate what's left of the Brotherhood, that would be the perfect way to do that.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It'd be a nice change of pace rather than the same people losing every time we get. I mean, take advantage of what's going on. And maybe it's even like the Commonwealth versus the Enclave, something we haven't. I guess they fought them in Fallout 3. This Commonwealth is from DC, but it'd just be nice, a nice change. Like, see, to not be the main focus.
Yeah, if the Enclave comes up against a main faction, which they need to be taken seriously as a main threat, as a new villain, they also need to win. And it has to be an evenly matched faction like the Brotherhood of Steel. It can't be like they're fighting the Legion, right? Like they have to be full-blown, like they come in and wreck shit. Like full, absolute, the Brotherhood of Steel, someone big that has a lot of resources gets Drax sclounched. I want to see that.
Yeah, definitely.
In terms of motivation, what are some things that you think would be interesting for them to be motivated by? Because if they're gonna come back as a faction, they can't just be, to me, to be successfully done, they cannot just be boogeymen. Yeah. They've been boogeymen way too much. They need to become an actual faction, an actual group. How would you like to see that done? And not, like, instead of just being genocidal maniacs.
Maybe like, well, if it's the show, obviously it's gonna be Cold Fusion again. But I'd want it personally to be something similar to the Institute. Like they wanted to like reclaim and like regrow society, like vegetation, making it all synthetic. Maybe it's something like that. Maybe they found a bit of land, they're gonna work on that, then spread out over time, just like fix in one place, make it look like a new world. That's something I'd like to see. Something where they're not, as you said, like maniacs. They're not homicidal. They just want to do their research, help people out.
I don't think they should help. I think I would disagree there. I want them to be villains. 100%. I think they should be villains, especially with the way they've been setting them up as villains. And I know that they're all about, like, you know, no matter what version of the Enclave we saw, they were always very territorial. Like they're always like, no, the wasteland is ours. They need to have some kind of personality added to them to make them, or they have to at least address that, number one, they have had their asses kicked so many times. Like, that's the elephant in the room, right? If they don't address the elephant in the room, it's like, why did you even bother? After that, though, I would like to see, I want them to have actual characters, you know? I think that's what I want to see, is actual characters who have a reason for wanting to do what they're doing, aside from we hate all mutants, you know? Yeah. It would be cool to see, what you said, they are more interested in just like being present in the area, and they just want to settle something for themselves. It would be interesting to see two different versions of the Enclave. Like what was left of the Enclave could be like there's the remnants, where in more northwest America, where it's pretty much just tribes, the remnants of the Enclave didn't have anywhere to settle into. They had to go somewhere else. Like if they stuck together and they just founded a settlement and called it like they're just the remnant, that would be really cool to see. And it'd actually be a great way to set up season 3, where they have to go north. They find this other enclave, and now that other enclave is at war with or is kind of forced to go to war with like maybe the, super fascist whatever version of the enclave from Fallout 2 and 3.
Yeah.
And then that could create like a enclave internal kind of like philosophical civil war between the two. I think that would be the most interesting thing. And then Cold Fusion ultimately falling between those two. The Brotherhood of Steel couldn't do it for good. The NCR was too corrupt for its own good. The Legion hates technology. They'll never be able to help anybody. The followers of the Apocalypse would probably be the best suited, but they just seemingly don't exist anymore. If the Enclave had like, a group that was like, we're not genocidal, homicidal maniacs, I would be interested in seeing that.
Yeah.
Splinter factions. My own, of course, personal wish list, like I said, I want to see like advanced power armor, like with the bird beak style, like on the Fallout 2 cover.
Oh, yeah.
I want to see that in live action so bad. It'd be cool to see even like Exo 1 power armor, because like advanced power armor and Exo 1 armor are two different things. I'd love to see both. I'd love to see the Mark II from Fallout 3, where it's like they call it the Black Devil, because instead of the big bird beak, it has like the horn things on the helmet. That would be super. That's the set I want to see the most recreated in live action. I know a lot of people probably want to see the Hellfire armor recreated in live action. And then, at the very least, I want to see at least one Tesla variation. I would fucking love to see Tesla armor. Especially if they could figure out how to do it with like practical effects, God, that would be so cool.
It'd be like quite an intimidating thing to see as well. Like, imagine they just like a massive suit of Tesla power armor.
Yeah,
pulls up. I'm like,
and especially because like what we've seen so far have been like the Brotherhood armor, the T-16, the T-45D, even T-51. It's like Robot Knight, right? But the Enclave power armors are so like, especially the heads are so, they've got like the little beady eyes. Like they don't have big night visors. They have like beady eyes, little beady eyes, and like not very human features. They're very like dehumanized. They almost look like creatures instead of people in armor. And especially because they're just like black. Like it's just black armor. I really, really want to see that come back. Oh my God, it would look so cool. If there's anything that I can say I am so excited about to see next, it's like I want to see that recreated, because we've seen like Ranger armor in live action now, and it looked really good. I want to see. Obviously, I still have my qualms with the way they do it. Like they insisted on sticking with the 76 style for the helmets. I wish they would have been like, no, we're going to do the New Vegas style for the helmet. But that's like a nitpick. I want to see the power armor remade. That makes me wonder too. Do you think it's possible that like maybe the brainwashing doesn't totally erase their memory? Like could Biff potentially be like reminded who he was?
I was thinking this before. I was thinking maybe they're not gone forever, but I just see it destroying the brains. Like, not melting it, but like...
It's like a mind wipe.
Yeah, so like... I mean, when it's on, it's like... impulses into your brain. So maybe it's just taking over your memories. Not like taking them, but taking over. And then...
Or making them inaccessible in some way.
Yeah, so it's like... Because... I don't think they're fully gone. It's more just like... You are in control. I have the power of you now until I turn it off.
Right, they're super suggestible.
Yeah.
If Biff comes back, I'll like this episode a lot more. But if this was the episode where they killed Biff and he didn't even get a fighting chance, I'll be fucking pissed. I was so upset when they basically killed Biff without giving him a chance to fight. Like, I wanted to see that motherfucker fight. We still haven't seen a Ranger really fight.
Yeah, I feel like I was hoping when they appeared on that little mountain, I was thinking this could be sick. This could be like something cool can happen. We're gonna see the NCR trains, like in New Vegas. Obviously, they're spoken like they're the best of the best, because they are.
I feel like people are more scared of like the elite Rangers that like the NCR with, like, you know, the full combat armor, the duster, the mask, everything, the helmet. They are more afraid of Rangers in black armor than they are like Brotherhood Paladins. like a Brotherhood Paladin is pretty scary, but an elite Ranger, they're like, what do they say? They always say like they chew nails and spit napalm is how they're described. It's like, holy shit, these guys are fucking tough as shit. Yeah, they should give some of those Rangers a chance to fight. Like, let me see him kick some fucking ass, especially because Biff was stuck in a chair and he still managed to, like, you know, keep that legionary off of him.
Yeah,
I want to see him fight, man. Let me see him fight.
I'm hoping there'll be like a big fight scene towards the end. So, like, I know we see the Deathclaw one next week, which I was surprised about. I was thinking that'd be the finale, but it seems we get to see Mr. House next week, and then maybe the whole.
We might not even see Mr. House, right?
Yeah, I hope it's not the last scene where it's like the fight.
Yeah, I'm thinking the fight will be sort of like the finale of episode 7, and then episode 8 will be like, that's when it's finally revealed to us that Barbara and Janie aren't there. That could be what that is. That could be the reunification moment for them, right? Like, episode 7 is where they go in, they find they go into the Lucky 38. He tries to get this information, he can't get it for whatever reason, or like he gets something out of it for whatever reason, and then he has to go into that management vault, and that's what episode 8 is like, the reunification of Lucy, Maximus, Cooper, all these characters. We want to see them all together. Maybe that's how I mean, maybe even Norm. It could be that Norm and Lucy start to communicate, because if Norm is reaching through the ham radio, it could be that broadcast doesn't make it to Hank. It might make it to Lucy, and if Lucy's able to communicate back with Norm and find out all this shit about her dad and like how this mind control stuff actually works, then maybe that finally pushes her over the edge to stop being such a naive jackass. I don't know. That's kind of what I want to see out of it. I want to see Lucy stops being so naive. Hank gets his, shit beat in. Cooper gets closure on his family. I want to see Biff not be just like whatever, like a mindless slave. I want to see Biff come back, man. He's got to come back.
Yeah, I hope so.
He's too cool, man. Like they gave him his own unique armor and setup. He's got like special shoulders and stuff. Like, come on, you can't fucking just do that. You can't get rid of him. He's got character.
Exactly.
I want to see him fight.
We still have to find out about the Legion, though. We haven't. How's that going to fit in?
Yeah. Macaulay Culkin still has to go into that. Could be the. I don't know. Like, who is the Legion going to raid? The number one, like, where is this management vault around Vegas? We don't know. It's still very
say probably under the Lucky 38. That's my best guess because it needs to be in close proximity to where Hank can drag Lucy back.
Right.
So it's probably on the strip somewhere.
What if it was under Vault 21?
That was my first assumption, but then I saw a lot of debates about this, like how it's like all concrete in, but still, it could be underneath the concrete.
Yeah, if you bust through the concrete.
And he was wearing power armor, which could probably punch through concrete.
It can, it can punch through concrete. So, yeah, he could, do something with that. Or if there is some kind of alternative method of accessing it, I don't know. Yeah, we have to find out where that is at some point. There's a lot I want to know. There's a lot of stuff that I want to see. I'm really hoping that these last two episodes are like just blow me out of the water. Like I want to just be like wowed by whatever it is that they do.
Yeah.
Because as of right now, it just kind of feels like this episode kind of felt like a bit of a drag. And not like I was really hoping that the episode where like Lucy and Hank meet each other again would be a little more meaty. But didn't really feel like it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
But I don't know. Been going for nearly 2.5 hours. And I think we've said everything we need to say. We talked about the Enclave. We talked about Barb still being an evil piece of shit no matter what they try and do with her character. Cooper is just continuously being a more complex thing. We talked about House and whether or not he actually gets the cold fusion. Seems like Vault-Tec did get their hands on the autonomous man from Robco. So maybe House got swindled? I don't know. That seems to be the implication.
Yeah, I guess we'll have to see.
Yeah, we talked about Marcus, the potential fate of Jacobstown, what led him to like become more of a, I would say, warmonger. We talked about that. Hank referenced All Quiet on the Western Front. I can't speak on that very much because I haven't read it. I should read it. And we talked about the kind of nature of good and evil and how like Thaddeus and Lucy and Hank and all these different characters view the concept of it. Maximus too. Maximus seems to be the most morally good character.
Yeah, I have to agree with that.
I don't know. Like, because there is Lucy, but Lucy's virtues of good and evil seem more based around like, again, like I said earlier, I don't want to call her a coward, but also like if your view of good and evil comes down to you just don't want to be the one like who like you just don't want to be there when somebody dies. It's not really a line for good and evil that's just kind of trying to remove yourself from the act of evil itself. Which is, like I said, it's a cowardly, it's a coward's definition of good. Yeah, I think we covered all of it. I think we also talked about like Vault 32 is way more interesting than Vault 33 right now.
Yeah, by far.
It's like the Vault 33 stuff keeps getting hyped, and then they immediately defuse it. Like, it felt really diffused as soon as Vault takes. I was expecting like there to be like a fight that broke out, but nothing happened. So I don't know about that. Anyways, I don't think this really. We talked about theories, predictions, potential, stuff for season 3, episode 7 and 8. I don't think we missed anything.
No, I think that's about it. There isn't really much to take from this episode.
I'm surprised. I mean, honestly, I'm kind of surprised we made it a full 2.5 hours.
Yeah, I thought it'd be a lot shorter.
Yeah, I guess we'll probably keep doing this after episode 8 at least a few times, if not just keep going with like just general Fallout stuff.
Yeah.
Especially just to like wrap up and talk about the full season, because I'm definitely going to do when episode 8 drops, I'm going to try and do like a full watch through of like the whole season. And then I would like to do a full watch through of like season 1 and season 2, like watch everything that's out all in one, continuous thing, and see if that changes the viewing experience at all, changes any of my thoughts, and kind of talk about what we thought by the end of it. But before that, we still have 2 episodes to get through. So now's the time to plug your stuff.
Of course. So Instagram is The Mysterious Stranger. Same my TikTok. Facebook, please add me on Facebook. I'm looking for friends. It's just Mist Strange, because once again, they won't let me have the full name because they hate me. Did I say YouTube? Yeah, YouTube's there too. Same name. I was going to make a video this week, got sidetracked, so I apologize. But still subscribe. It might be out one day. You never know.
You won't know unless you are subscribed.
Exactly.
Yeah, you don't want to miss out. I'm pretty much just on Instagram and YouTube. YouTube is this. Instagram is _Mojave_Mailman, and I post stuff now and again. I'm working on some. I just finished last week. I printed off a whole bunch of parts for some customs to do some 1/6 scale remakes of some parts of a character, and then I've also got plenty of customs to do with some of the characters that I have right now. So I'll be doing that, and then I'll be posting those. And then this week I did start. Last week I said there was going to be a new video. I did start editing it, and then as I was getting through it, I was like, usually my edits are just me cutting out the boring parts, but I wanted to try and do at least a little more than that this time. So I've actually usually I only spend a couple hours trying to edit down a video, but this time I've actually spent a good deal of time editing this. So I'm not sure when it'll be done, but I am actively working on it. Once I have a good flow for what I'm trying to do with them, they'll start coming out at least probably bi-weekly. It's probably what I'm going to aim for, is getting one out every 2 weeks. And once I can get into that flow again, things will start going up regularly. But until then, it'll just be the podcast. So for now, we'll be back next Saturday, 5:30 p.m. Eastern, like always. Take care.